with locked drawers, internet, monitor, the whole, it's great. Um, and I haven't seen that in Berlin yet or anywhere else. So anyway, I talk a lot, so just shut me up anytime. And
No, that's great. That's great because I guess you are there. I'm not in Medellin, but I'm in Bogota.
Oh, this is
I,
awesome. This is great. Yeah.
yeah, so I guess like this discussion is really nice. I'm going to Medellin next week, so perhaps
oh,
we can grab a
I'll,
coffee.
Nice.
I'll buy
Continue
you
the
a cup of
discussion.
coffee.
Yeah, if you speak a lot, I also speak a lot, so I would would be very happy to
Per-
grab a coffee with another speaker.
Perfect, perfect.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I guess we can start. Some people they will start joining slowly, so we can just introduce yes ourselves. So this is hosted by Digital Nomads Association Colombia and Remote Casa. So the Digital Nomads Association Colombia, it's an organization that was founded in 2022 because of the huge migration of digital nomads in Colombia due to the digital nomad visa in Colombia since October of this year of 2020. So this huge migration has started since then. And now we have a lot of digital nomads, especially in Bogota and Medellin. That's the reason why during this webinar, we are going to focus on that. Those two main cities has been very attractive for digital nomads and also expats or people like you, Carlon, that we don't know how to categorize you on the data. So let's see how this ends up. And yeah, so that's basically what how the digital nomad was founded, and we aim to connect, to guide, and to connect, to guide digital nomads within their experience inside the city, and also to connect them with the locals and local experiences in order to grow and to push the local economy and to create a positive impact in the country. So I am Nadia. I'm the president of the Digital Nomads Association. I'm a digital nomad myself. I'm from Bogota. I'm from Colombia. Right now, I'm in Bogota. It's just a coincidence that I'm from Bogota and I'm in Bogota because normally I'm not in my home city, which is like a shame. But I try to explore the world as much as possible. But I decided to stay in Colombia for 3 months. I'm experiencing like a nice time of this year, like surrounded by my people. That's the reason why I'm going to Medellin next week, also to have like a nice experience and to work from them. So I think perhaps Dan and Anna can tell us a little bit more about the remote casa.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Yep. So we're from RemoteCasa. I'm one of the founders. Anna's another founder. So we're essentially a platform that's trying to make working from anywhere a possibility. We're hearing everyone's working from home now, and we said why not just work from anywhere? And I mean, lo and behold, digital nomads have been doing this for the past 20 something years, and we figured out as we traveled, Anna and I traveled. We were always in places that didn't have good internet connections, or we booked them through other platforms, and they were not as per what we needed to work, or they were not in a location where we wanted them to be. And so that got us really thinking about how do we solve this problem better, and that's really why we created Remote Casa. So what we do is essentially, on one end, we connect vetted properties. So these properties have high speed internet connection, a dedicated workspace. They're bang in the middle of where you would want to be as a digital nomad, next to co-working spaces, next to coffee shops. Walkable distance to a gym. Some of them have gyms in the building, and so we go and curate these apartments, put them together. But what we're also building on the technology side is we're starting to implement a bit of AI. So it starts helping you plan your trip, and then at the near future, be able to also book local tours, get help from a local as well, and so on and so forth. And so yeah, no, just started out in Colombia, and we recently branched out to 4 cities in Mexico as well. And yeah, we're looking forward to working with the community and as digital nomads ourselves, looking to solve these problems for us as well in the process. So Anna, anything to add?
Yeah, no, like thank you, Nadia and Dan, for putting this together. This is awesome, and I hope people can get a lot out of it because we do want to share kind of some tips on how to find, help you find uh, places where you can stay and be productive, because that's the whole point of it. As digital nomads, we are not just vacationing, we're also working. And just to add a little bit to what Dan was saying, like our experience, what got us here was having a few bad experiences while traveling and trying to work. We were in Mexico 2 years ago, and the place we rented, we thought it was going to be okay, but the internet was horrible. There wasn't anything, a proper place for Dan to work from, both of us to work from. So Dan was working for a month on top of like a iron. And we're like, this is not the way to go. This gotta be a better way for us to look for properties and to have access to properties that are set up for us to be able to work from home. And we put a lot of thought and care into curating the properties that we add into the platform. So there you go. So I hope everybody gets a chance maybe to check them out.
Thank you very much, Anna and Dan. So we decided to be partners because I think the two companies and the two organizations, they have the same values, and we aim to connect digital nomads and also expats through their experience with the locals. So we have so many projects together. So, and also we want to share like some tips and some discussions about the cities in Colombia, just Bogota and Medellin. So I guess we kind of started with Bogota. So, and this is, I don't know, guys, if you, that are here, have you been in Bogota? So maybe Carlton, if you like to speak a lot, so this is the time.
Please don't encourage me, Nadia. I've
I'm
been
doing
I actually have only been in Bogota once, and that was maybe, ooh, wow. So I first got married, so that was about 15 or 16 years ago. Um, so we were there just, I think, for a night or two. And so I don't really have much to say in terms of digital nomading while I was there. We did find a very nice little restaurant. And I love the weather, this is where my wife and I, right, she's from Cali, right? So it's, you know, for those of you who have not been there, it's 110 degrees every day, and the humidity is 110% every day. And I am from the north. I'm from New England in the U.S. I like it cold, please. 40s, 50s. Sorry, I'm doing this in Fahrenheit, but right, 10, 11, 12. Okay, centigrade. That's right. So anyway, we moved here. I wanted to move to Bogota because just for the weather, the climate, and my wife, of course, wanted something warmer, so we ended up in Medellin. But sorry, I'll stop talking. I know we got a lot of people in here.
No, that's perfect. And I think this is the first thing that everybody is asking is about the weather. So digital nomads, they are scared about the weather of Bogota. I really don't understand why, because it's not that cold. Of course, it's cold, so you have to wear a sweater, but this is like one thing that you need to take into account. And I totally understand that in Medellin is kind of like this nice weather in between 20 and 25 degrees, so which is like hot, but not that hot, so it's perfect weather. So the average weather in Bogota, so during the night, it can be 7 degrees or 10 degrees, and during the day, it can be a little bit higher, like 14, between 14 and 20 degrees. So depending on the year of the day of the year, the month, so many factors that influences that. So indeed, it's a very huge city. So if any of those that they are here, they have been in Bogota, so you can just put it on the chat if you have been here, so we can just share. We don't we don't speak only with carton, so we can just speak with other of you guys. So you can just put it on the chat if you have been in Bogota, or if you haven't been in Bogota. So this is also important. So Bogota has more or less 10 million inhabitants, which is like a very huge city. And we are divided, and I'm going to show you here, in 25 districts. So there's 2 districts that they are rural districts, so they are not here. So they are bigger than the urban area. So as you can see, those 21 districts that are called here in Colombia, not in Colombia, in Bogota, localidades. And so each district is like a localidad district. So I'm going to put it here so you don't forget. So you get familiarized of what I'm speaking about. So the historical center is located here in La Candelaria, so in this place. So this is the historical center because this is where Bogota was founded. So this is mainly like colonial historical center with the Spanish architecture. And nowadays, of course, is like the core of Bogota, even when Bogota is a huge city. So it means that it's a polycentrical city, let's call it. And so you can find like in all districts, all localidades, you can find like everything that you need. So you don't need to go to the city center to find specific things, but you can find cultural offer. Why cultural offer? Because the main museums, the main universities, the main theaters, and different so cultural activities and festival, they are taking place over there. So here there's carton, okay. So the restaurant Casa Vieja was in La Candelaria. Wow, that's nice. Casa Vieja, I think I know where is Casa Vieja. So there's a lot of historical places over there, and also like the main plaza, and also the main government places. So the house of the president and things like that. So this is in La Candelaria. So La Candelaria has been a place that slowly has been gentrified because of the students because the 4 main universities of Colombia, they are located in La Candelaria or close by La Candelaria. So there's many foreigners or maybe also students, they are coming from outside of Bogota. So they go to live there. And also the city center during the 80s, where the narcos or the Pablo Escobar time was alive. So it was very dangerous. So then during 2000, so the government decided to change like this area. And so now you can find like a lot of international restaurants, a lot of international hotels and hostels. And close by La Candelaria, so you have the International City Center. So the city center mainly is 2 localidades. So this area, so you can find the International Business Center here, which is the picture that we had before. So that's the city center of Colombia, of Bogota. So so La Candelaria is just the historical center, and you can find here. There are so many properties and residential areas over there because of the gentrification. Before, it was only a business area and also for people that they just go to work there. But slowly people, they have decided to live in the city center because of the gentrification. So there's like bigger offer of residential areas for different type of incomes. So we have the consequences as well of the gentrification, as if you manage the term, so you know that the gentrification has like a negative impact as well, like so many locals, especially because it's at the historical center, they had been pushed to other areas. So mainly this area, which is like the poor area of the city, because it's more affordable, and it's not affordable anymore for a regular household to live in the city center because of this huge movement of new companies inside the city center and the international city center. So you have find here La Candelaria, like a pretty nice place also to live nowadays because of the renovation of those historical buildings. And also then you have Santa Fe. Santa Fe is like a also really big area. So there's so many places over there. There are like not really nice places, but also those places that they are close to the mountains. They are like very nice neighborhoods that digital nomads and expats, they have been deciding to live in. So just to understand a little bit more about Bogota, so this is mountains. So if you see, I'm gonna just go back. If you see the mountains here, yes, and this is like yeah, very important landmark in Colombia. So you see the mountains. So this is like the business international business center. So those are mountains, and this is the north of Bogota, and this is the south. So normally we read the map of Bogota like this, not like the north in the up. I don't know why, because we like to read it like this for so long. This is something like in urban planning we have been doing like for several years. I think the mountains is historical. They have been also like a guidance to understand how the growth of the city and how locals we guide ourselves. Yes, because always we are pointing everything if it's close to the mountains or not. Yes, so the mountains are really important for us and in the culture in Bogota. So this is the historical center and the growth. So the airport is more or less here, is inside the city. This is like one of the difference between Bogota and Medellin. So you have the airport inside the city. So you just like when you take the taxi or the Uber, you are immediately here, and there's a main avenue where you can reach the city center very fast in a huge avenue that is here. And then you can just go to another two main areas for digital nomads and expats that they are located here in Usaquén and Chapinero. So to those two localidades or districts, especially this one, Chapinero is one of the most vibrant place in the city because you have like many famous restaurants, more universities, you have indeed more students, residential students. You have here like close to the mountains, a lot of residential properties that perhaps later on Dan and Anna can explain us about like those properties that they are like really nice and affordable for digital nomads. And also there's like a gay district inside Chapinero, in this district, like a gay or LGBT neighborhood inside Chapinero. So you can find also a second international business center in between Chapinero and Usaquén. So meaning that this corridor has become like one of the most important three localidades in Bogota, where majority of expats, they have decided to live here. So the city is huge, so it's important for those that they are about to come to Bogota to decide to live or to stay close where you want to move around. And yes, because the traffic is not very nice, because as a city that has 10 million people, we don't have a metro. So you can imagine how chaotic the city might be. So that's the reason why Chapinero, it is close to La Candelaria and it's close to Usaquén, where there's another like district where you have like a really nice cultural offer and where it's like a nice residential area for yeah, for living, and it's not that noisy as it can be La Candelaria or Chapinero. But anyways, they are like two localidades pretty large. So inside each localidad, you might have like a different type of streets or neighborhoods, so like party streets or very residential areas. So I guess there's a lot of variety inside each localidad. And I guess digital nomads and expats, they have been also exploring a little bit more of Teusaquillo, because this has like a very European also vibe in terms of architecture. So there's like English architecture inside Teusaquillo, and it's a very quiet place to live as well. So I would say that this is like the corridor that are more like interesting for expats, but also expanding to this neighborhood as well, to this localidad. So before finishing this, I think also in Bogota it's important to understand something, and in Colombia we use it. This is the estrato, and I guess so. Carlton has been living for 2 years. Do you know how the strato works in Colombia? Do you know already this? I think a lot of people, foreigners living in Colombia, they understand this pretty well, and how this impacts the public utilities.
Oh, sorry. I was
Yeah.
daydreaming. I was daydreaming listening to your wonderful voice there. Um,
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting actually, because it's one of the things that we're considering now, because we're looking to change apartments. He's staying in Medellin, but we're looking for a new apartment come this fall, and looking at the different strata is important. So for I think in Medellin, and correct me, Nadia, if I'm wrong, it goes from one. I think it goes to seven, or is six the top? I don't remember.
It is
Um,
6 in North Colombia, so
it
one to
is
6.
six.
Mhm.
Okay, it's one to six. And so I know in at least in like in Poblado, most of the places that you'll find are going to be five or six for the most part on average. Laureles is kind of the next, I don't want to say step down. It doesn't, that's not right, but it's more, maybe four to five with a couple sixes thrown in, give or take. And where we are in Belen, in Rosales, it's this is more of a blue collar, like a middle class working neighborhood. So here they tend to be four and five, maybe three, four and five, depending on what part of Belen you're in. So it's kind of nice. It's different than the United States. Uh, Depending on where you are, it affects the cost of your electricity, your utilities, the rent, everything. So it's kind of an interesting way of making sure that everybody can survive and do well. One of the things, though, that I learned recently, and again, Nadia, correct me if I'm wrong, because yeah, it's kind of just this is internet stuff, but is that there isn't necessarily a direct correlation between the stratum that you're in and the average income. So you might be in your building might be a strato four, and the guy across the street who's got a brand new apartment building that just went up last week might be a strato three. And sometimes there's almost no rhyme or reason. I mean, I know there is, but apparently you can actually also apply to have it recategorized if you disagree with what your building or your block is. But anyway, that's my 10 cents. So there you
Yeah,
go.
that is a
That,
really nice question, because in order to explain a little bit more to the rest of this webinar, so the stratus is a social economic classification that the government do to properties, but people tend to classify also people, but this is about properties, yes? So what is the thing? So it's like in whole Colombia, so each property is classified in between 1 to 6. So 6 is like rich people, and 1 is low income area, because it's the property. Yes, it's low income area, more or less, to call it like that. So people that they are paying here for their public services, so they are paying for the services of those people. Yes. So meaning that these people that they are in properties 1, 2, 3, they are subsidized. Yeah, so they don't pay the full amount of what they are consuming, because these people, they are paying for them. So this is a way and a strategy to help low income household to pay utilities, because they don't have the capacity due to this huge gap that we have in between rich people and low income households. So I think has pros and cons. And this is the question that you were saying. It might be related to indeed the strato with the household income, of course, but it's not necessarily like that. Why? For example, because in La Candelaria, this is the historical center. So the historical center, the majority of the properties, they are protected by the Heritage Institute, because it's heritage due to the colonial architecture. So meaning those properties, they might be strato 1. Yeah. So a person that has like a high income might live in an strato 1 property. So it's very possible here, and sometimes in the surrounding areas of the historical center, because you might have like a historical vintage or heritage buildings. But the other way around, like a person that has low income, like living in a strato 6, is not that probable, because of course it's very difficult to afford like the expenses, so it affects the rent, etc. So for digital nomads and expats, I think the majority of them, they are located in strato 4, 5, and 6. So that implies that the utilities, they are according to this area. Of course, those two, in the case of Bogota, those two localidades, they are basically 4, 5, and 6. And this is in between like everything, because it's just the historical center. And this area is like mainly 1, 2, 3. And this is like a mix of everything, depending on the neighborhood that you are located in. So this is important also to understand, not to select the property you are living in, but also to understand that the utilities depend on that. Yes. So not everybody is paying the same. So that's like super, super important. You might have like an overview more or less of what you can expand on your utilities, but yeah, it depends on that. Yeah, I think more or less this is like the general overview of what Bogota is, and the main neighborhoods and areas that you might like to explore as a digital nomad expat, or just regular foreigner without a label. And yeah, so I guess I don't know if Dan and Anna, I might miss some information for the audience.
Yeah. No, I think Nadia, you've got so much experience, especially with Bogota, that you've left nothing out. All I
Yes.
would say is uh, we stayed for the first time ever in Tempranero, and I love the neighborhood there because it's residential, but it's also mixed with really like great restaurants, really great coffee shops. I know for digital nomads, we love coffee shops and we love working from there. We didn't even want to like leave the neighborhood because there was just so much to do there. And yeah, we uh, out of like the time that we were there, I would say 50% of the time we were just in the neighborhood exploring because of the food scene there, and I think it's really coming up quite a bit there, and that's kind of like what I wanted to add to this as well.
Yeah. And I think it's important to also, like, for the people that haven't been, that Bogota, it feels very big, feels like a very big city. So if you're not into the big city vibe, Bogota is probably not the right place for you. It's a lot happening, traffic, like, is constantly going and moving. So especially around this area, you have access to a lot of things, but you're also going to be in the middle of a lot of things happening.
Yeah, and for the digital nomads that like to party, there's a thing called Gringo Tuesdays on Tuesday, and it's just a whole bunch of people, nomads, expats, locals that just meet up in this place that's got 3 floors, and everyone's just hanging out and partying, and sort of like language exchange, but also sort of like a midweek I guess party. So I would absolutely check that out.
Yes.
If you want to meet people and hang out with locals and other travelers as well. And that where does that happen, Anna?
I can actually I can add the link as well here. Let me look for it.
Right.
It happens both in Bogota and in Medellin. It's yeah,
I
it's
see
a great
Beach
place.
Rush.
Yes, Beatrice.
Yeah, I
Yes,
see
that's the
Beach
place.
Rush. I have
Yes,
been in one of the
yes,
gringos. It's just very
yes.
crazy.
Very crazy. I think you should go at least once. You get to meet a
Yeah,
lot
Yeah,
of
yeah, it's an
people.
experience.
it is
Yes,
worth it.
yeah, it
Definitely.
is. It is. The one
It is
we
so
found that the one in Bogota was a lot better. Like it was really nice compared to the one in Medellin. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And yeah, it's really nice. And it's in Chapinero, in close by Chapinero. So
yeah.
this is very vibrant place to party. Yeah, it's like 24 hours party.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I personally love Bogota just because of the sheer size. There's something to do all the time there, regardless of what time of the night or day it is. You can go and get a snack at like 4 a.m. in the morning, which I love, and just go and grab coffee right at the sun rises, and that's kind of really what's cool about Bogota. I think.
Nadia, can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Actually, I've got two, if that's okay.
Okay.
And they're both digital nomad, but more cultural, maybe questions. Um, the first one's more technical, I guess. The first one was just something that I noticed, and I'm curious if anybody else has noticed this, or if it's the same in Bogota. And that is that in the U.S., for example, if you've got a restaurant, it could be a hot dog stand. Everybody has a website, right? I mean, you're not in business if you don't have a website. When I got to Medellin, I found that, with the exception of very large companies, but you're at your typical restaurant or your typical store, nobody almost has a website. They all rely on Instagram and Facebook and their social media for their social presence. And it's been very difficult trying to convince people you really should have a website. And I can understand that because since nobody has one, or comparatively, people, their clients aren't looking for a website. So it's sort of a chicken and egg problem. So, I was curious if it's the same in Bogota or if this is something peculiar in Medellin. And then the second question, and you can answer both, I guess, is that have you come across any, and I'm not sure what word to choose here to describe this. Um, I don't want to call them bad feelings. That's not quite what I mean. But so, for example, if somebody is here and they're working for a U.S. company doing coding, um, the rate of pay, the hourly rate of pay, is significantly higher than it would be for somebody who was working for a local company here in Medellin as a programmer. Has that caused any resentment in the community itself between developers that are um, sharing the same space or supposedly working together, or is it just people accept it for what it is and keep going?
Yeah, so those are like two really nice questions. The first one related to the restaurant. Wow, I haven't noticed that. So yeah, I think you have a really good eye. I guess because of my eye, my perspective, or my personality. I think this is something about Colombia. Yeah, so less in Bogota because it's like a bigger city. There's more money, and I think I'm related this with money. Yeah, so people, they don't invest that much on websites because they prefer just to invest on social media because it's for free. Yeah, so I might be wrong. So I think the majority of very tiny local restaurants, they don't invest that much in on a website. So, but I guess in Bogota, you might see, yeah, a lot of people that they have like very simple website, like only one landing page, and that is it. So I don't know pretty well how this is working right now in Bogota. So that's about the first question. The second question, I think there's a lot of new people working for US companies, especially like coding or software developers and even like website developers, because indeed the difference between a salary for a person that is earning in dollars, a person that is earning in Colombian pesos is quite huge. Even in a person that is professional, has a really good experience or has a really good job, so it's not that much, yes. So a good salary in Colombia, so it can be $1,000 US dollar, which is not like a huge amount of money for a person that is earning in dollars, but this is like the average salary for a professional. So I think what is creating this is more, especially in Bogota. I have been surprised a lot since I arrived this year in Colombia. There's a lot of Colombians that they are working for US companies from Bogota, and they are working in co-working spaces. So the proliferation of co-working spaces do like through this corridor that I was telling you about is quite huge. And so in so many buildings, so you can find like one or two co-working spaces, and they are full by Colombians working for US companies. So even the US companies nowadays, they are hiding some of those spaces. And so they are renting those spaces for Colombians. So they might have like a space to work, like an office where they can go, and they just can go like any day they prefer, so they are not working all time like from home. Yes, because of course the condition of working from home sometimes is not really good because of the internet, or people that they just need like a private space to do so. So yes, I think I hope I can I could answer your questions, or more or less.
Yeah, no, that was fine. And one more, and I promise I won't talk anymore. But I think that this is Anna and Dan. I had a question. I was curious about something. I was looking at your website. I was looking at RemoteCasa. And I went to do a booking, and I just picked some random dates. Um, and it told me that it couldn't book for less than 30 days because of Colombian regulations. But I'm not aware of what that would, right? What regulation, what would that be exactly? Because a lot of people I know that are digital nomads, first, a lot of them don't even, they're just here on a passport, for 90 days or 180 days with an extension. They don't even bother with the visa. But what is the 30-day thing? That caught me by surprise a little bit.
So this is something
Absolutely.
that has been going on for some time, and it's really I think it began because of Airbnbs, right? That was the reason why it began. So now there is a lot of push from the government, from hotels, to kind of implement tougher rules for Airbnb people that were doing Airbnb, especially in Medellin, because it became a thing that it was displacing a lot of people. So one of the things the government is working on with also with propietarios is that they implement this 30-day rule. The properties that we work with, the companies that we work with, there are companies that work, like by the rules. So they're following these rules of the 30-day minimum in Medellin, especially. And
Yeah.
it's going
So
across all the big cities. Yeah.
yeah, and so just to add to that, I think what the rule is really implying is that they don't want to do short-term rentals anymore, and they're trying to prevent short-term rentals from happening. So you can so mid-term rentals are okay, and long-term rentals obviously are okay as well. They're great, and so I think that's really what they're trying to push for, and this is simply because they're trying to mitigate the surge in pricing within the real estate market, especially for locals, and keep affordability there as well. And there's a balance there, and I think that's really what the tension's about today. And so with the 30 days, we're focused on those 30 days either way. We've always been focused on the 30 days, simply because we work with digital nomads that want to explore space. For us, we've had people that stay for 60 days on average. So what we call nomads that are looking for midterm rentals, and that's kind of where we fit into the market. And for the ones that are doing like 1 to 7 nights, or we encourage them to get a hotel or a hostel, and those are the best options out there. But right now, Airbnb, anything shorter than 30 nights, especially in Medellin and Bogota, are not legal technically.
That was a very good question. Yeah.
Yes, really good.
Yeah, you do have a good eye, Carlton.
Excellent. So shall we
I'm
move to Medellin, or do you have any other question?
I was just gonna say I'm not sure it's a good idea, and I think I'm just more a pain in the ass.
Well,
No, no, no.
okay, guys, you go ahead.
Okay, so I'm presenting Medellin, but I'm originally from Bogota as well. I just love Medellin. I'm here for the Medellin team, mainly the weather. I know it's not a huge difference, but Medellin to me has that perfect weather that is around like 20 to 25 degrees. There's always this really nice breeze going on, and there is not a lot of bugs. I don't know why that is, but I noticed it. I love it. I'm not a big fan of bugs, so Medellin is kind of the happy in between. Because sometimes when you go to warmer places, then you have to deal with a lot of mosquitoes and bugs and all that. So for those of you who don't like bugs, Medellin is a place to be. Medellin is not as big as Bogota. It's actually quite smaller than Bogota. I think right now it's around 3 million people. So it is still a big city, but it doesn't have that gigantic feel that Bogota has. You do get to have all the amenities of a bigger city. Medellin is there's a lot of mountains, so in a lot of the neighborhoods that like El Poblado, Envigado, you're gonna have to walk up the mountain most likely. So it is a workout. The last few times we've stayed there, we've stayed in places where we had to walk up and down the mountain to the gym, and that seemed like enough of a workout by itself. With that in mind, it is important also when you're looking for a place in Medellin that, and this is something that we came across with some Uber drivers that mentioned to us, is that when you are in an area of Medellin that's very hilly, it becomes an issue of accessibility for people when it rains, especially because the Ubers cannot get up there. So if you're trying to get an Uber on a very rainy day, it might be an issue. So we've had some nomads that have had issues with when they're staying in areas that are beautiful view, but a little bit too high up in the mountains, and it's become an issue for them to kind of get around because most nomads are not gonna have a car, so they're gonna be dependent on public transportation or Ubers, which is very easy to take and around Medellin, very easy way to access everywhere by Uber, and it's also very affordable. But that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to be in a flatter area, Laureles is great for that. Is
Yeah, I can
also
just change to this.
yeah. Oh yeah, perfect, perfect. So and yours has this. Oh no, no, I thought those were the stratos on it, but like Nadia explained so well, Medellin is also divided in strato 1 to 6. And most of the places, again, that nomads are looking to stay are stratos 4, 5, and 6 mainly. Poblado is mainly 5 and 6, and then again, you can find Laureles 4, 5, and 6 in those areas. And Envigado is also another place that's a little bit more residential, but beautiful views, lots of parks, lots of nature. If you like nature and city, I think Medellin is a perfect combination for that. There's everything grows in Medellin. That's one of their sayings, and it really does. I think the weather just permits for a very lush um, areas of like trees and plants and everything. And if you like to party, Medellin is definitely a place to be. If you like to party, you can go party any day of the week and you'll find a place. There's no problem with that. And yeah, I think that's kind of my take on Medellin. I don't know, Dan and Nadia, if you guys have
Yeah, so
something.
yeah, no, absolutely. I can jump in here as well. So what to me as a nomad, someone that's not from Colombia, um, I think like I just break it up into like three sections or two sections mainly. Um, Laureles has got a lot of it used to be a lot of like middle class households. So when we were there 2 years ago, it was mainly locals. Now that's turned and it's got quite a bit of digital nomads, and it's got quite a lot of like digital nomads. That community is getting larger there. We're also seeing we also saw new types of restaurants there, so you can get like Thai food and Japanese food and things like that. So it's really starting to get gentrified quite a bit. But it's happening in a very methodical kind of like way. And so it's still small businesses, but you are seeing some like mid-rise buildings coming up there, and the crowd is very very mixed. A lot of digital nomads, a lot of locals, and they get along just great. On the other end of things, what I look at is also is El Poblado. That's where we were at 2 months ago, and within El Poblado, there's several different areas, neighborhoods. We stayed in this place called Milla de Oro. And maybe Anna can chime in as well here. I really liked the neighborhood because it was a quiet neighborhood, lots of Colombians, really great gyms, really great restaurants. And we were about a 20-minute walk from downtown where everything happened. So we were far enough from downtown core, but close enough to walk the distance if we wanted to go and you know get a night out. And so that was something that I really appreciated. And you know, anything else, Anna, from?
Yeah, I think with that, to add to that, like if obviously if you're there for vacation, being close to Provenza with all the party, where all the fun stuff is great. If you're trying to also work, it might not be as uh, productive to be so close to Provenza, but so Poblado especially Milla de Oro, you're within 20 minutes, very nice walk, safe to go to Provenza, which was a walk that we did often. So it's so something to think about too is that you're in a place that also is a little bit more quiet and you're not in the middle of all the touristy party stuff because it could, especially being there for a month or so, you may find it a little bit tiring and not as productive to try to get work done while you're there.
Yeah, and another thing also that you know we encourage a lot of people to do is doing like either like a bike tour or a food tour or something like that when you just get into the city. That's normally what we do. That's the first thing that we do, and that simply helps you know understand neighborhoods, understand people a little bit better, you know, but also get to explore things and see what you really like and what you want to go back to. And so Medellin's got a really great bike tour. I think, and we can actually put the link here later on that we recommend, where they take you throughout different neighborhoods, show you like right from I think we started off at a Strato 5 and went right down till a Strato 3 as well, and kind of like did a little bit of walking, tasted food, and then a little bit of biking. So I really like that mix. Even with Bogota, we did a couple of food tours there as well. There's a Candelaria food tour, and then there's a food tour in the other different neighborhoods as well. And so I really find that enjoyable, but also it's really great to explore and find out neighborhoods and get to find, get to know like foods and like all that sort of stuff as well. It's a crash course in that city, and so that's a uh, thing that I recommend everyone to do as well.
So
Cool.
yeah, I just want to add something. As a person from Bogota, I also love Medellin, to be honest. So I have to confess.
There you go.
Yeah, because we have this stupid fight as in every country. Yeah, so what's the best city? Of course, as Dan mentioned, this Bogota is like a very metropolitan and urban city. So if you like that, to have like these 24 hours is really nice. I'm into that as well because I grew up in this city and I love large cities around the world. So I'm pretty interested to go to those large areas and live the urban life over there. But however, yes, the vibe of Medellin is quite different as well. The weather is one thing. I think it's very beautiful. Another thing that it catches me the attention a lot of Medellin is it's very greeny. Yeah, so it's like a lot of
Yes,
nature around
yeah,
the city, inside the city and in the surrounding areas.
yes,
In Bogota, we also have like very beautiful surrounding areas because we have like ecosystems that you don't have in any part of the world, literally like that. So very specific ecosystems of the tropics, like Paramo ecosystem. So that's like close by Bogota, but also in Medellin, you can find like inside the city, like a very beautiful areas and in the mountains as well. So I think that I could when I was studying at the university, I was traveling to Medellin a lot with my friends, just like for a weekend. Um, and I could see that the thing that Dan was saying about Laureles, because Laureles was like a very normal neighborhood, like middle class neighborhood. And the last time that I went to Medellin, when I was at the university, I booked something like an apartment in booking.com in Laureles, and I thought I was discovering another area of Medellin. Nobody was speaking about Laureles. I was like, wow, because I was all the time in Poblado. So because Poblado has been very famous for many years, but then I booked this apartment in Laureles, and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful, so nice, very walkable area. And I was enjoying so much. And then I went back to Laureles like 2 or 3 years ago during the pandemic, and I discovered this very different area full of international restaurants, full of expats, digital nomads. And I think it was like a quite interesting change. So for some of them, it was positive. For some locals is a little bit negative because of the gentrification, but that's the discussion about. But indeed, it's a really good place to be. Those two comunas or those two places in Medellin. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Um, it's a comment here. I noticed one thing that I noticed for myself here was that and I'm not sure if it's like that in Poblado. It probably is. Um, it can be noisy, and by that, I'm not talking about the traffic, but for example, like I said, we're in a kind of working class neighborhood, right? So I'll get up Saturday morning, sit down, all get my stuff, and I'm sitting here right at this desk, and there's a window right here, right next to the street, and I'm starting to work, and invariably, somebody will come down the street with a large speaker and decide that they're going to sing a couple songs for me outside my window and serenade me, while I'm trying to work. And the speakers here only have one volume, and that's super loud. There's no
oh
soft,
yeah,
there's no soft anything. So it just, if you've not been before, it's just one of the things just mentally prepare for. Typically, they'll stop, they'll sing a couple songs, they'll move on, or we get throughout the day, you'll get, banano, guayaba, you'll get the vendedores with their fruit carts moving back. But it's really nice. On the little map here that you've got, Nadia, like for me, if you see where Belen is, it's a little bit south of Laureles. And if you look at the panhandle there off to the right. That's sort of where I am, kind of just before the, not quite at the river, but in that area just south of Laureles a little bit. So there's still a lot of nice areas. Belen is sort of become a spillover for Laureles. So all the stuff and all the
This
buildup in
area,
Laureles,
more or less, this is.
Yeah, exactly. So we're starting to see that here. Some really nice parks here. I've got one 2 blocks or a block and a half from us, and it's a beautiful park just for people that haven't been. It's got 3 swimming pools, 3 huge Olympic-sized public
Wow.
swimming pools. It's got 2 football fields. It's got pickleball. It's got 6 outdoor tennis courts. It's got an archery range for anybody that wants to bring your bow and arrow with you, um, which I thought was just really cool. Lots of walking trails. It's a really, really nice place. And I put a comment on the right too, just because. One of the cool things here is electric scooters are extremely common. I don't know if they are in Bogota, but in Medellin they are. They're getting to be almost as numerous as seeing taxi cabs. That everybody is on electric scooters. And one of the nice things here locally is they haven't yet implemented. It'll probably come. They haven't yet implemented any regulations regarding how fast they can go or how power. You don't need a license to operate. You
Oh,
don't need a license to operate one. So especially for digital nomads who are just showing up and don't want to have to go through the trouble of getting your driver's license, and that's also a nice quick way to get around town, especially if you're like me, where a bicycle probably would be better for me. But but I've lost interest in that. So just getting on something that's quick and fast is also a really nice way to get around town.
that's awesome.
That's nice about the
Cool.
scooters in Bogota. I think that's a new thing, or at least for me, because I'm not used to see many scooters in Colombia, but the last time that I talked to my father, so he just called me, oh, I want to tell you that I fall down from the scooter. It was like, the scooter, how's that possible? Do you have a scooter first? And then I realized, so he told me, yeah, it's pretty common now because the traffic is full. So there's so many restrictions for cars. So you cannot use your car every day in Bogota and Medellin. So you have more and more restrictions. So I get it's more popular. So I have seen around like people, yes, as my father or other people, my friends, that they are buying scooters. And also because you don't need a license, so you just get the scooter and it's faster. So, and you can just,
Great.
I think you're allowed to go to the ciclo ruta, so to
Oh,
the
wow.
path. So yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I saw a couple of chats, and I just wanted to maybe talk on pricing and things like that. So we like we were mentioning, there are our properties don't have anything. We don't have anything less than 30 nights, and we also don't deal with co-working spaces. So these are like private properties, and generally for us. And so, a lot of people also have gotten the question of, like, why is there a discrepancy between like getting an apartment outside versus like maybe like a midterm rental apartment? And what we kind of like usually what we've seen is, it's we focus on midterm and long-term rentals. If you're going to stay for 6 months or so, you should absolutely do a long-term rental. There's a lot of places. There's a website called Finca Res,
Yeah.
and that does long-term rentals. There's also a couple of people on Facebook Marketplace that can help you out with that. And with the long-term rentals, a lot of them are not furnished. Some of them are furnished, but you generally get a better price when you commit to like 6 months and whatnot. But with us, we only deal with midterm rentals. We're in properties in places that are usually in strata 4, 5, and 6, more in the 5 than anything. So we're in really great neighborhoods and that are connected to everything. So we tend to be more in that mid price range. And so just wanted to put that out there. But there's for the long terms, if you're planning to stay for definitely over 60 days, I would definitely go down the route of looking for something that's just more permanent, because that ends up being a lot more affordable for everyone.
Yeah, and I think for and this is just for us when we go to a place and we're not really sure where we want to be, the midterm rentals are like really good because you can stay there for a month, you can get to know the neighborhood, and you can kind of decide without committing to a location right off the bat, especially if you don't know the place. So it's great if you're just trying to kind of get to know a neighborhood, you can move around the neighborhoods and then you can decide where you want to stay longer. We found that sometimes we go to a neighborhood, we think we're gonna love it, and then we see another neighborhood and we're like, no, this is where we want to be. Like Nadia was saying, maybe you find a little new place that's popping up and you want to be there more, then you can concentrate your search on that place for something that's more long term, and you'll be able to negotiate better terms and get, obviously you get the benefits of being a long-term tenant, which you can take advantage of better like rentals prices. Yeah, for that.
And regarding the co-working spaces, of course, the two cities, they are full of co-working spaces, especially in those two areas in Poblado and Laureles. So there's a lot of co-working spaces because they are trendy areas. The same in Bogota, as I mentioned. And also the Digital Nomads Association, we have like some co-working spaces we are partnered with, so we can guide yourself as well if you, in case you need it, or you just need an advice, or maybe you want to go to our partners' offices. So, yeah, I think that is it. There's anything else we can add?
I've just left my email, I believe, in the chat. So feel free to hit me up if you have any questions about rentals and things like that. Happy to help out. Even if it's not with one of our places, we've got a network, we've got a lot of partners there, so happy to help out. Sorry,
So
Nadia.
Dan, no problem. So I think Dan and Anna can explain this, which is like, yeah, so what the surprise of today?
Yeah, absolutely. I can chime in here. So yeah, because we've actually partnered with DNA Colombia, we're giving away $80 off your first month, and then if you actually book 2 months with us, you get another additional $100 as well. So you get 180, and then for any month after the second month, essentially we give you $100 discount. So if you stay with us for 60 nights, you get 180, you stay more with us, we give you back more. So essentially, yeah. And I think we, Nadia, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is just for the week, and then we can, with them after that, it goes into $50 for that we give back every time you sign up. Beyond that, was that correct, Nadia?
Yes,
Anything
that's
that I
correct.
missed out there?
Yes, it's perfect. I think it's pretty understandable. Anyways, if you have like any question, you can contact us also on our social media. So in the case of in Digital Nomads Association, so you can go to our website, so you can see it here on this slide, but also so Instagram, so Digital Nomads Colombia, this is our Instagram, and or our Facebook group, Digital Nomads Colombia as well. So
Yeah, and Anna just reminded me as well that that's the code. So it's DNA COL 50, and so yeah, feel free to make note of that because that's really what will track the discount. So
okay, so I guess yeah, so there's anything else we can add, or maybe we some of the people that we have here. So if you have a question, so you can just raise your hand or just write it down. Yes. So you are welcome, Steve. So yeah, I think that is it. So thank you very much for everything. If you have like an extra question, so do not hesitate to contact us. And thank you for your time, Anand.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you,
Nadia. This
everyone.
was super fun. Yeah,
Yes,
great
very
hanging
nice.
out.
Okay, thank you guys. See you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye.